Welcome to Sponsorships and You. My name is Jackie. Hi, Jackie. And I'm an FGC member. The first step is admitting you have a problem.
All right. Do I have to snuggle up to you?
Okay, this is Isaac. He's making this all run. He's interning with Twitch Student. Let's hear it for Isaac. Yeah. That didn't sound enthusiastic. Come on. Yeah. All right. I'm joined today by Alicia. You may know her. Yeah. She runs Axel. So she is a CEO. She is a commentator. She is a competitive player. You might know her from such top 8s as Soul Calibur, Tekken. Yeah, big deal. Yeah. So just a little bit about myself. I've been in esports, I guess, since 2015. I've seen pretty much all aspects of it, and I always found that people wondering about sponsorship are totally in the dark. They're like, well, how do I do it? What makes it happen? So I've worked with many teams before, so I'm here to kind of clarify what teams are looking for and what you yourself would be responsible for as a player. I don't speak for all teams, I'm just speaking in terms of my years of experience. So let's get this projector on. Do you want to, you talk a bit about yourself and then they'll get this going.
So I lost my voice a bit. I casted for 11 hours yesterday, so I'm trying to get it back. Hi, as Jackie said, I am Alicia Junis. aliciaxlife is my username. Yeah, I've actually cast like all 3D fighters. I'm one of Bandai Namco's official casters, as well as I used to be a film producer and left that life to launch my own esports company. We're currently estimated at $2.2 million, and I have risen in the past literally 6 months. So it's not like, we're like a super long-term one that came around. It was just that I've been in the industry for a long time for film. So converting it over to gaming and esports was just a smooth transition for me. I seem tired because I am, which is definitely where I should start. Besides that, yeah, if you've watched like DOA, for example, I cast a top 8 for there, and I announced their Season 2 pass. If you watch Soul Calibur, I'm usually on top 8 for that. For Tekken, I do like challenger events and stuff, so like maybe like I'll do like, for example, like Electric Clash and things like that, but usually I'm a bit more chill and more on like Soul Calibur. When it comes to my team itself, for people who might know Tekken, you'll probably know Fergus. He's an Irish player. If you know Soul Calibur, you'll know Rich Dixon Boom, things like that. Also I have like Mazen and Invanes for Tekken as well, and I just picked up a new player for DOA rather recently who's being announced soon. And yeah, I'm actually still scouting up for different areas as well and kind of reviewing people, so I either send myself out or I fly out my team manager or other members of my company to go scout people in person. So been a really fun time. And now I'm going to teach you guys about what I even look for in the first place when I go to scout somebody.
All right, so I just want to preface this with, take it with a grain of salt. We can't get the slides working, we don't need them. Any information here is just to expand your thinking. It's not the be-all, end-all of everything. Before we get into it, I just want to set up some definitions of sponsorships. So the first thing I want to talk about is a team. So if you're a player and you play for a team, you support your team's initiatives. So your team runs based on outside investments, sponsorships, or it's bootstrapped. Bootstrapped is a business term that means all the funding comes from within the company. The team may or may not provide things like salary, accommodations, and your travel expenses. An example of a player that plays for a team is Nemo, who plays for Team Liquid. The next type of sponsorship you can get into is an independent type of sponsorship. So that is a player who's sponsored directly by an endemic or non-endemic sponsorship. So they're known for their own brand, and they don't play for someone or something. So an example of this would be Justin Wong. Justin Wong is his own person, and then he has endemic and non-endemic sponsors. An endemic brand is someone who knows about esports, and then non-endemic would be like BMW, they'd be like, we got car money, but we want to get in those esports. The next thing that you could have is being a brand ambassador. So this is basically a player who represents a product. So they usually only get a kickback in something like sales commission, or you receive free peripherals. So that is a brand ambassador. Another type of sponsorship is community-based. So that's a player who plays for a group of people and it's been crowdfunded. So this is something like our Street Fighter has been doing, and they sent out Marine, I believe they sent out Born Free, a whole bunch of people. So that is a community-based. And then there's player-based. So this is the last one I'm gonna touch on, and this is where when you make it in the community, then you give back to the community. So an example is like Justin Wong and Dudang are always taking their winnings and then investing it back in and sending people out. You've probably seen lots of people with the J Wong tag this tournament. I wanted to highlight a common mindset that we come into when we talk about sponsorship, and that is, if I place high, surely I will be sponsored. This is not the case. That's like saying, if I go to university and I get a degree, there is someone standing at the end of the podium and they will give me a job. I have many degrees. There is no one at the podium waiting to give you a job. You can keep placing high and placing high. It is a skill set that does not mean you will be sponsored. So it's not a 100% guarantee. I wanted to focus in on I want to set up a new mindset for sponsorship. So on June 22nd, Justin Wong sent out a tweet. And that tweet said, and I quote, "I'm not a fan of people when people talk about this person deserves to be sponsored due to performing well sometimes. Think about why you are not sponsored. 1, do you social media? 2, do you content? 3, do you network at events? 4, do you make a difference from 1 to 3? And don't hope for DMs." So although not a guarantee, companies understand numbers. And when they hire you, a company wants to know what they will get out of it. These are called returns on investment, or ROIs. They are extremely important and the main dynamic of how a sponsorship will work. So what is Justin getting at? I'm going to show you step by step.
Before we jump into that part, I'm just going to mention it on a note from a owner's perspective, is if, for example, if my team manager comes to me with a list of people, he's like, hey, you should check these people out. I think they're really talented. On top of that, they seem really nice. I'm like, cool, let's take our next step. So after that, we bring it to our board of directors. We go through their stats. We go through their analytics. We decisively pick which ones are actually worth taking the time to fly out and see. It's like, oh, do I have to go to Japan to check out this person or not? Do I have to go to Korea to check out this person or not? Can I go in my own backyard and find this person? It doesn't matter. What happens is that we need to understand if they actually bring value to a team. Now, it doesn't have to necessarily be money, because we're in the FGC, right? Realistically, we're not here for tournament earnings. We're here to actually build brands. So we come from an environment where it's low impressions, which is viewership, but high engagement, because we have an older viewership audience. Because we're not like 12-year-olds, 10-year-olds. We're people who actually have disposable income, who are old enough to be able to travel alone, and if not, there still is the youth that do have parents that are willing to go with them because they see it's an ambition. So there's all those elements coming into play. So what happens is that companies are more willing to give up money, willing to put in that extra dime in, purely for the fact they understand that these people have high engagement and are willing to actually spend the dime. So a little bit about that. So it's making sure that you understand that when you have very high engagement or you show that there's growth in your social media, you don't even have to be at like a few thousand followers or something. The fact that you can even be like, hey, I grew like 100% since I went to this tournament. Look at the progression. This was before the tournament. This was after. Look at all the work that I've put in. And you kind of build yourself like a small almost template of what you're willing to offer, right? It's having these things in your arsenal so that when someone does approach you, you are ready to answer these questions that they're going to have. It's, okay, what impression do you have on your market? Do you use all forms of social media? Things like this are super essential for us to even consider you and to put thousands of dollars into you.
So talking about social media, I'll get into that because it's the first part of what Justin was covering. You have to talk about your following. So this is your impact, and it means you have reach. And why is reach important? Because it is about what you can do for your team first. And you can use your following to push sponsored products. So that is super important because, again, it's about what can you do for your team. And your team is funded by other companies that have metrics that they must meet. A quick sidebar, if one of your social media is Discord, Discord is the industry standard for communication. I made a mistake where my gamer tag is Jakyo, and I made my Discord Bakyo, which is Bay and Jakyo. So I look ridiculous in every meeting, but it's okay. There is a server-wide name change, so if you join a new server with a company, just switch it to your first name, because they'll be like, they're like, which one's Bakyo? And they're like, it's Jackie. And they're like, switch it. You have a proper name. So again, that's the industry standard. Make a new Discord if you need to, because I know it's really hard to log in and log out, and I've just resigned myself to embarrassing myself. Your biography in your social media needs to be clear. If you need an example of an amazing Twitter biography, you need to check out Vicious FGC. As soon as you go on Vicious's Twitter, you will see right away he has a banner. In the banner, he has his Twitch, his Instagram, and his Twitter, and then it's got like a One Punch Man with a Yarenika face saying, follow Dade. So I'm like, okay, he's got a sense of humor, he's in internet memes, I can easily access his social. In his bio part, it says he's a commentator, host, FGC, Twitch affiliate, he's got his Instagram again, and then the most vital part is his business email. You need to have a way to reach you. If you don't have a business email in your Twitter or something that's easy and accessible in your bio, no one is gonna go out of their way. No one. If I go to a player and I'm like, okay, where's the business email? I don't see it. I'm like, I'm just gonna find someone who's easier to access. That's just, it's like, I don't have time to go out of my way and do something that should just be right there in your bio. The next important thing is he says who took his profile picture. He tags the photographer. So I also know he is a man of integrity. Right there. That's in his bio. That's like what, 240 characters? So it's really essential that your bio is clear. There's an easy way to reach you, and you have a business email listed. Very straightforward. The next point Justin brings up in his really controversial tweet, if you will, is do you make content? There are various platforms on which content can be made. You have Twitch, Mixer, YouTube, there's gaming and videos, Instagram, and then Twitter itself. I want to read you the top titles that have been streamed on Twitch in 2019. I'm going to read you all of them. This is for February. These are the top titles. Fortnite, League of Legends, GTA 5, Just Chatting. You're supposed to laugh. It's not a game. Dota 2, CSGO, World of Warcraft, Overwatch, PUBG, Apex Legends, Minecraft. What is this? Twilight? No, Team Fight Tactics, FIFA, Rainbow Siege, Auto Chess, Death by Daylight, Path of Exile, Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and MTGA. That's gotta be Magic the Gathering Arena. Those are the top titles. Not a single one of those titles was an FGC title. None of those. Not a single one was a fighting game title. When you are in the fighting game community, you start at -5 over every other esports. You have to accept that you start in a struggle if you want to be sponsored. So you have to be 5 times as hungry as any other player out there, because it's 5 times as hard to find someone to put money in you. I don't want to scare you, I just want to give you a reality. Platforms that you can stream on, Twitch is evening out as total numbers watched over the month for Q1. If you look at Q1 2018, there was like a stabilization in the market. Mixer is on the come up. Q1 2018, it shot up to like over 2 million viewers. So if you were looking at getting in Mixer, it's still kind of fresh. And sometimes when you get in a platform kind of on the come up, you can make moves happen. YouTube gaming is in a strange state where we see more people interacting with it. Is it blossoming as a platform? The trend is going up as of right now, but you have to think about the kind of content, like what are you making? So what does that mean? Do you influence the community? If you look at Zaf, for instance, he's always doing tutorials and always uploading those videos. Does it make a difference? Is the content you make noticeable? And then this is what a company's gonna approach you and ask. Do you already make money off it? Is your channel monetized? And how many concurrent viewers do you have? The concurrent viewers, not the followers on Twitch, is what matters. If you have 1,000 followers and 1,000 concurrent viewers every single night, that is more important than 300,000 followers and 2 concurrent viewers every night. Engaging with your audience, as Alicia said earlier, is extremely, extremely important. You want to build a community. So don't always focus on the follower numbers. How much interaction are you getting?
So one thing to add on to that is that when building almost like a resume for yourself, what you should be doing is going to your Twitch analytics or your Mixer analytics or whatever platform you choose to use. I'll use Twitch as like the main example. Would be to go to your analytics, put it on for the entire month, and display in your channel analytics and your settings. I think it's known as your dashboard. In your dashboard, change your settings to be followers, revenue, average chatters, average viewers. Those are the staple ones you need. Also subscribers. Those are the staple ones you need. We can look into channel views on Social Blade. We can do all those things on our own time. But the ones that we want a quick glance at to see if you are actually on the rise or not is that. So.
The next thing about content is difficult to discuss because it's not something you can describe. And that is called the it factor. And when I was working for a team and I was helping them, I would just watch copious amount of streams, look at so many different Twitters, and keep my eyes peeled for this it factor. I can't explain what it is. When you meet someone else with it, you know they have it, and it is electrifying. And it doesn't always mean you're amazing at the game, and it's hard to encompass it. But when you meet people, like when you look at certain players and there's something indescribably enigmatic that makes you want to tune in, follow them, watch them. Why is it important that Takedo won Evo and went up and did an Akuma pose and you felt energized from that? That is it. And when I see someone who deserves sponsorship, I feel like I can take them and I can push boundaries and I can make content and I can do things that are so out of the realm of what normal people thought was FGC and thought was possibilities. That was like, this is it. this is making content. So that is something I cannot really describe to you, but it's something that everyone has the potential to unleash. You just have to find it, which I know is really enigmatic, but like it's there.
So like one other thing to add into addition to that would be, it's also about just impact, right? So when you think of it this way, even when you yourself watch a YouTube video, right? You're going through 3 a.m. and you're surfing through YouTube videos and you're going through that dark, dark tunnel where you realize it's 5 a.m. now, right? And then you wake up the next day and you're like, what did I even watch last night? That's not what we want. We want somebody who will wake up the next day and be like, dang, that combo video was sick. How do you do 3 balcony breaks in a game that only has 1 balcony? What was he doing and how drunk was I? And if you go back and reflect on that and the fact that you were able to make that connection and go back, was it the person, how they were talking? Was it their execution? Was it the combination of how they edited so well that it held your attention that much that you went back to check it out? Those are the things that we're looking for, things that have a lasting impression, to the point where if you send someone, one of your friends, a video of something that's happening in the FGC, even if you're not really that familiar with the game, you're like, dang, check out this video of this person, right? Hilarious, right? Stuff like that. That's something that really means a lot to us. And I know that sometimes it's hard because you're like, you know what, I'm just starting my YouTube channel, I'm just starting to get this following, I'm placing well, I'm starting to build myself, and I'm on the rise, right? For those of you who are on the rise and you want to negotiate contracts with teams, you want to try to make things better for yourself, the strongest notion I make to you is to offer to make them content for their channel. Be like, hey, I'll drop 2 videos a month for you, but in return, can we have like X amount of money as a payout just so that I can start putting this towards my tournaments? So, or even just have it so I can help buff up my stream. Things like that, because for lower end sponsorships, right, it's harder for them to put that money out. But if you give them something that's tangible to work with, or I guess more like, I guess to a degree, like it's a good, you're giving them a good, right? So them paying for that service makes sense to them. And sometimes, since you're not just there yet to be sponsored and pushed as hard as other players, it's a good stepping stone for you to actually build some revenue for yourself while being in this industry.
No. The next exciting topic, get ready. I would say this is the most important part. Well, also your contract, because that's legal. But do you network at events? And what does that mean? That's like, what circles do you run in? It doesn't matter if you run in absolutely no circles right now. You must learn how to network. So let's define what is an event. We have tournaments. CEO, Canada Cup, EVO, you are at an event right now. This is an opportunity to network, and it's only day 2, 4:30. You have the rest of the night after this to utilize this time to network. You can go to conventions, Anime Expo, San Diego Comic-Con, any type of convention. And then there's other events in your area, Twitch meetups. We're in Vegas, festivals. All of these are networking opportunities.
And just to talk about a little bit more about networking before we move on to the next point, would be networking doesn't have to be like, hey man, we should switch business cards. What's going on? Like, let's link up. It's about building a human connection, right? Because I could get handed 1,000 business cards in a day, and am I going to respond back to all of them? No. I'm probably going to throw half of them away and use them towards making a proper straight edge line. But at the same time, the person who I'm like, hey, do I still have that person's business card? Yeah, I should go check that out right now. I will go ahead and make my way through them and find the person and go forward and do that. Why? Because they built a connection with me. They built a lasting impression with me. They're like, hey, Alicia, you know what, blah, 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 really cool what you're doing with your team. Researching the people that you're approaching is one of the biggest things that you can do. If you can approach me and be like, hey, I saw Fergus play today, a crazy pickup that you got him. Wow, Tekken World Tour 2 years in a row? Is this gonna be his 3rd? You can have that conversation with me. That's how I know you're actually not approaching every single team in the area, trying to grab onto anything you can latch onto. Now I know it's something that you take passion in, something that is my career, that is my life. So why would I put the money into you if you are doing the research to understand why I'm even here in the first place, right? So it's taking those steps first, and then the second steps of being, hey, right, like, it's really cool, how are you doing at the event, stuff like that. Oh, like, of course, in return, the person will ask you, how are you doing at the event? And that's your 1-minute pitch time. Practice an elevator pitch. 1 minute that tells them about you, what you do, what game, top placings, bam. Something that can stick with me so that when I walk away, and even when I'm on my flight home, I'm like, you know what, that one kid really had something. Who was that? All right, bam, this one, okay. Let's go forward, let's see what's going on with that. Send me your resume, send me your stuff. What's your analytics, what's going on with you? That's how you build that, that's how you network properly. So understand who's gonna be at the event, know that. Even if you network with your peers, people who are actually at the same part in the industry as you, grow together, rise together. A perfect example of that, who is taking it to the next level, to a godlike mode, would actually be offline TV. Probably have heard of that a million times over. Offline TV, League of Legends house, like Hearthstone, everything. They're just social people together living in a house together. And that is the perfect example of what you should be doing. Networking with people at your level and then building up to becoming titans together. So it's not about overcoming one another, it's about growing together and creating that for yourself.
All right, Auntie Jackie's gonna let you in on some secrets. Every event, I want you to set aside a budget. I want you to set aside $200 every single event, and this is your networking budget. What are you gonna do with $200 in networking? First off, are you an upcoming commentator? You just met Sejam. You make the interaction. Oh, hey man, what's up? You ask for no pictures. You're gonna be at that level soon. You don't need pictures. Hey homie, how's it going? He now knows you. You go home, it's after the event, you go in his stream. You chat a bit. Maybe not with him, maybe with his community. Then what you do is you subscribe to his channel. You've set up a relationship that's part of your $200 budget. Are you walking around, you see someone, they look a little tired, you know them from the industry, you're like, hey man, here's a coffee, I got you, or here's a bottle of water, don't worry about it. That is part of your $200 networking budget. Helping people out is part of your $200 budget. You see people and you're like, yo, I was at Starbucks, I accidentally got 2 cookies, here's a cookie man. Like that sometimes is like make or break for people at events. I remember CEO, I was going on like no sleep, we're commentating, we're in the pools, and then I was like, please, someone bring me gummies, and someone like appeared, and we're like, here you are, gummy fish, and I was like, this is enough to get me through the day. So you are investing not only yourself, but getting to know people. You need to set aside that. Bar fights tonight, maybe you'll bump into Alex Valle, you'd be like, you know what, Valle, let's do a shot. Bam, that's a part of your $200 networking budget. It is extremely important that you approach people in a homey fashion and you are networking with them, because if you're there and just like, oh my God, I can't believe, like you have to contain. You have to contain because you're trying to get to that level. Apart from budget, you also want to have business cards. Vistaprint, Moo cards, you can order them online. This slide's supposed to be absolutely hilarious because I went into the secret cross-counter drive and I pulled up the backs of their business cards. I'm so sorry, Gutex. This is on crosscounter.tv. But I went in and I was like, I need a business card. I'm like, I know, I'll show the backs of this company's card. You need information on your business card. Social media, business email, real name, gamer tag, last name. Let's see Paul Allen's card. Okay, we got 2. Yeah. Your business card is super important. So again, Vistaprint, just get them done. Or moocards.com, you can make a template. Just make it clear. Make it have your social media on it. Remember, real name, gamer tag, last name. Approaching people. You gotta schlep yourself around. You gotta put information out there about yourself. So, again, like if you were to bump into Gutex, you don't be like, oh my God, it's the Pog champ, and then be like, hey man, IRL stream, be like, Pog in the chat, Pog, did you know you're a global emote? Like it's it's going to set up a different kind of tone and a different kind of vibe. And if you're trying to get sponsored, you're eventually going to be around those people all the time because you're going to be in business meetings with them. You might need to work for them. Or if you meet like higher ups of a company, you don't want to be like, I'm intimidated. It's the president of this company and I need to say this. Like I've literally been at events and the sponsor has shown up and was like, if you don't say exactly how to say this Hot Pocket's name correctly, we're going to have a problem. And I was like, I've never even heard of this type of Hot Pocket before today. And then also like the slogan was beast something. So I was like thinking about Daigo and I was off on something. And they're like, no, bring it back. CSGO, you're sponsored by some Hot Pocket company. And I was like, okay. So approaching people is key. You're gonna meet higher up people in industries. Like if you wanna be sponsored, you just got to know those are your people. There's nothing, they're just regular people. So if those are gonna be your people, you just need to push your own information out there. But being starstruck by Taquito is totally okay at any time because he is the greatest.
Also, one thing to mention too is there's a difference between being thankful and being over-exaggerative about it, right? So, for example, if like, thank you so much for your time, right? Ended on that. The moment you say 2 or more is where it's way too excessive. We didn't christen your baby. We didn't do something out of the normal, man. We're just out here having a conversation, bro. We didn't really do much, right? So it's like, thank you so much for your time. I mean, it means a lot to me. That's as far as it can go. The moment you go beyond that, reel it back in, buddy, because that's getting real cringy real fast.
The next thing that Justin says in his tweet was, don't hope for DMs. So I'm going to tell you how to push yourself out there. First thing you need to do is 1, build a player deck, and the second thing is send proper emails, which sounds straightforward, but it's not. Let me give you a snapshot of your player deck. So your player deck is essentially like you can get Google Slides, PowerPoint, probably Google Slides is better, Canva. And you want to do a showcase about you. Canva is fancy.
Never even heard of that
one. Yeah, that's where you look real good. You're like professional. Showcase yourself. These are your highlights. Tell me like what makes you special. And then you need to say what you bring to the table. This is like a resume pitch package. You are putting together an entire slideshow. Eventually, after you say why you're unique, what you have going on, like I would put, like, I'm Jakyo Manor, I speak like English, French, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese. Like there's something different about me. Then you can get into your tournament placements. Yes, they help. Yes, playing good is good, but it's not the be-all, end-all. It's okay. It's okay. I commentate CPT. My best Evo placement is 1 and 2. I said it. 1 and 2. It's not 0 and 2.
I like that positivity.
Yeah. So your tournament placements, then your next slide will be like content you create, everything you've done. That's where you can put in your analytics, like what sets you apart. And the last thing you need to tell a team is what you can do for the team. What you can do for the team. That's what they want to know. Like, thank you, you got a whole bunch of firsts, but if you're up there and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot to wear my jersey. I didn't plug my sponsors. I forgot to put up the stream banner. Like, you're not doing anything for your team. They're not interested. Retail experience is essential. If you've done retail experience, like you're kind of set to be a sponsored player. So like, have you ever sold stuff? Because you're essentially becoming a billboard for different products. And sometimes you have to push sales in your content as a player when you're sponsored. So when you're subjected to this, you really need to make sure that you believe in the product. Really consider who sponsors your team. Don't just pick up anything that comes your way. You really have to think, is it worth it? Because after you look over your contract and you see the deliverables, you want to make sure you can actually get behind it. So for instance, I love those little Picasso stuffed animals. And if that company approached me and was like, we'll give you $4,000 a month, but we need 10 tweets, a weekly vlog, you gotta push our little alpaca stuffed animals every stream, I don't mind. Because I love those little stuffed animals. It's a product I can get behind. And people know when you're fake. You really have to think, is it worth the money? You really need to think about that because you will be selling things. You also have to remember that you represent that brand when you join a team. So when you enter a tournament, the team name comes before your name. You are known by your team before you are known for yourself. And you have to be prepared to accept that. Some people are like synonymous with their team. Like Leffen, you always think team solo mid. You know, like you're always thinking about them mixed with your team. You have to think if you as a brand want that. The other thing is we all forget everybody's human. You're gonna make mistakes. We are in a cancel culture. Take off your jersey when you go out. If you are out somewhere and you are sponsored, take off your jersey. You're not allowed to be human, pretty much. There's a lot of social pressure right now, especially right now. So be very mindful that when you put on a jersey, it is extremely easy to be let go of from that jersey.
I think a good example of a comparison just in daily life is if you're wearing a uniform at work and you decide to go out after hours and then you do something terrible and it gets posted on Twitter and went viral, right? Now you're seen as for example, let's say like Target employee, right? Target's actually closed in Canada. Oh, no. So it's like, yeah, funny enough. But, this Target employee, like, did blah, 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 right? It's not even your name that's remembered. It's just the fact that you were a Target employee because you were wearing that uniform. Even though it was after hours, even though it was in a McDonald's, doesn't matter. It's the fact that you were wearing it in the first place that is the thing that stuck with people. So that's the reason why it's like, yes, we do make mistakes and things do happen. Just take it off, bring a change of clothes anyways, right? You've been wearing it all day while working away, which it is going to work when you go to a tournament and stuff. So yeah, just take it off and be a regular human.
Next thing I want to cover, which I didn't think would be a problem until I started taking intake at a company, like a team of people applying to sponsorship, and that's emails. And I was flabbergasted at how many terrible emails there were. And the emails were reminiscent of like, I love this team, wanna join, email me back. And it would be like, sephirothlover9294@gmail.com. And I was like, really? And they're like, I saw this team, I love the clothing you guys make, I have a Twitter, check it out. You want me to join this team? And I was like, what? Like, I don't, it's not okay. Like, make a proper email. So what does the proper email look like? Don't write some long-winded email. I didn't want to read those. I know you put your heart and soul in it, but I was just like, we got time. Time is money. So use points to highlight yourself. Attach your resume. Your resume will be your player deck. And you could put like a regular resume, but really the player deck is the best move because it shows a level of involvement and a level of professionalism. And you want to show that kind of commitment that you can make yourself a player deck because the team wants to see that you have that level of commitment to bring to the team.
So just to bounce over to player decks again, one of the most important parts when I look at a player deck is the fact of its visuals, right? The fact if you can edit your player deck well to be very aesthetically pleasing means that if you went to go make YouTube content, you'd be a decent editor at it, right? Graphic editing and video editing are two different things, but graphic editing actually is more grueling of a task. So if you can handle doing that in your deck, then I'm more likely to be like, oh, hey, he might be able to produce content, she might be able to produce content, they might be able to produce content, right? So it's taking the time to realize that you can bring these assets into play if you just display that it's even there without, you don't even have to say it if you don't want to. But actually, as one of your special skills, you should put down if you're an editor or not, or if you can, or have the ability to edit. And if so, what programs you can use, right? So that way, if you're working with the company's editor and you're trying to bounce like a YouTube video or something back and forth, it's very fluent for them. They know what program that you're able to use. It's those little things that can really make a lot of convenience for people.
Last thing I want to touch on, I think it's the last thing, is contracts. That mysterious word. I don't know if any of you have seen player contracts, but I've seen many, many, many player contracts. And I found one in my storage from a totally defunct team from 2015. They're like gone, and I wanted to share it with you. So I'm super sad that the slideshow's not working today, but I'll flip my computer screen so you can see just how long it looks, because it's real long. Your contract is your terms with the team. Your contract is your Bible to everything you agree to do for them. And they are usually one-sided, and they are in favor of your team, usually. If you get a contract, take it to a lawyer, a good one, a very good one. If you are presented with a contract, take it to another lawyer to look at. Offers in a contract are wildly different contract to contract. So there's a lot of things they can provide to make you as a player, to make your life comfortable. You have to think, is this something you can live off of? It depends on what you bring to a team, on how comfortable your life will be. When you sign a contract, first thing you need to look at is what state is it under. It will state in the contract, but I'm not from America. There's like 52 states.
You can use Ontario law, you're fine. You're okay.
Yeah. 12 provinces. Each one has its own things. I signed a contract and it was under the state law of Delaware. And I was like, what's a Delaware? Not a good start to that contract, let me tell you. You need to know the laws of that state too. For instance, Ontario, if I sign a housing contract, and then the next day I wake up and I was like, oh, whoa, that was a terrible mistake. I have 15 days to void that contract under Ontario housing law. I do. I don't know if the chat's watching, but like that's how it is. I'm confident in my answer. So really no. Let me see if I can. The SB log. They're really like, can I get that on camera? Look at that. That's so long. That's like one page. I blurred out all the names of stuff you're not supposed to see. Secret documents.
Screenshot it.
The first thing it covers is like representatives. So that's who you speak to and who represents them, and if there's any changes in your contract, who you need to talk to about that. Then they'll define terms. If the contract will tell you like what is events, what is a travel expense, what does promotional activity mean, what does a live stream mean, what does graphic material mean? Like this one is like, graphic material refers to all pictures, images, visual montages, video content, and any miscellaneous content created during live streams. You're like, wow, the first time I read through that, I was like, wow, I'm gonna go to bed now. The next thing I wanna show you, I don't know if you can see it, but it's called player commitments. Look at that, look at that. That's one page of your player commitments to the team. What you do for them. This is a 9-page document. This is a 9-page document. This is a 9-page document. The player is committed to not use any cheating tool, as well as not abusing game flaws or use mechanisms that would provide an unsportsmanlike advantage over his opponent at any time, even when he is not officially represented by the team. Okay. It goes through everything, like, oh my God. The player, in the context of his development, is committed to participate to 1 or more physical training sessions with a professional for a minimum of 2 hours per week. This measure aims to provide both physical health among cyber athletes. Cyber athletes. Physical training sessions are provided at the sole discretion of refusing to confirm the physical training requirements may lead to this agreement's termination. So this contract was kind of hella sweet because they actually had, like, you had to go meet a personal trainer, and if you didn't take care of yourself, they were like, nah, the agreement's done. So you have to be very careful. There's a lot of things that say, if you don't meet these requirements, it may lead to this agreement's termination. If a contract is too sweet, really check it, because it's probably too sweet. This contract was like, all travel expenses paid, all food paid, all Ubers paid. You get a nutritionist, you get a physical therapist, you go to the gym once a week, which sounds like not a lot, but that's pretty good. That's you're doing good. The player was let go of this contract within like 3 months. So how it worked was you would go to a tournament, you would save all your receipts, you would submit your receipts, and then you would get reimbursed. And then it was just too good to be true. Like, they were just like, we release you from this contract. And that was it. That's the dream is over. And it was like, I was like, I can't believe a team would do this much for the lowly FGC, us poverty gaming community. Like, cheers to them. And then when the player was like, oh, I was like, oh, God, it's a tough life. So again, nothing is, like, even when you sign a contract, like, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing.
So just to kind of talk about contracts a little bit more. I actually was like, the reason I was on my phone was I was pulling up one of my player contracts. I'm going to go through briefly a few things that you would want to have when going into a contract, or are luxuries to have going into a contract versus what's actually required, right? So what she talked about was owning all content, right? So whenever you're Twitch streaming, whenever you're doing any of that, all the YouTube content that you produce is now their content. That's not usually an issue because you still have to hold your revenue. They take percentage off sometimes based on which team it is, right? Or if they're a lower base team, right, and they're not funding you as fully as you think they should be, or for that level for them to do that to you, you could ask for a licensing agreement where they have free use to use any of your content. They could, like, if you made a YouTube video and they wanted to, like, take parts of that to put it in their own like compilation videos and such, that they have free right to use that. Even if you delete it, they can still use that content. That's okay to ask for too, to try to negotiate it for that, to protect yourself too. Another thing that is something that's it's usually not going to be in your contracts, but is a really strong perk to have, and even to just bring up in general if you want to, if you're in that later negotiation period, is a thing called a tolling period. Does anyone here know what a tolling period is? You can raise some hands. No one, okay. So this is extremely important. My players actually get offered this, I'll tell you this flat out. It's where, during the contract time, if a player is unable to perform their tasks for a reason such as mental health, an illness such as like where they are hospitalized or unable to perform their act due to this, or a family member's passing, or something that causes that much mental strain to them, they are allowed to take a month off which I think is a 6 month duration, and take that 6 months, half a year, and add it on to the end of their contract and extend their contract. That way they are not obligated to do all of these necessary requirements for them during that time. It protects mental health, it protects you as a person, and it's always great to have that kind of safety mechanism just in case, because you don't know what's going to happen in your life. So to have that sort of protection, even if you negotiate a 1 month period, it will make a massive difference for you. So try to look into a tolling period, TOLLING. Look into that and see what you can get for yourself.
Look at you, thinking of the players. Yes, that's a good contract. Last thing, actually, that I want to get into is commitments. What is expected from you, the player? So what's expected from your sponsors? Plugs and shout-outs, stream layouts, mini ads after your intro videos. Hey, do you use a VPN? You should check this site out. Stuff like that. Monthly goals of how many posts are done. The team will check in on you. I actually had like a whole Gantt chart that I had to like go and look at people and be like, did they place the logos on their stream? How many tweets are they doing? How many codes did they push? They will check in on you and be like, why are you not doing these things? Why do you have to do this? Because when your team gets money, they actually sign up to do commitments to that company. You're not gonna have the executives doing that stuff. You're gonna do it. You're gonna do those commitments. So this is how sponsor money usually comes in. It usually comes in on a monthly basis on like the first of the month. So the first of the month is usually like great on an esports team. Like the money is in. And companies will ask for a variety of different advertisements performed by the members of the team. So social media, you'll have to do X number of Twitter posts, Instagram posts, content. There's literally like to the seconds and minutes how much you need to shout out a sponsor on your video. Hey everyone, I've been drinking this really cool drink and I think you guys should drink it too. And it's gonna be 30 seconds of me rambling about this drink I drink on my drinking stream. Thank you so much. Have a good night. I love you guys. Bye. And then the next thing you need to do is organically promote products. All of a sudden brands are just gonna slide their way into things. It's natural. It's not placed there at all. Or you'll have to do like, the easiest deliverable is like an unboxing video. Like if the sponsor's like, hey, we're gonna send you this, be like, oh yeah, I'll just do an unboxing video. Like just do them. People actually watch them, so just do that. Or you'll have to be like, hey, use code, give me money for 20% off, you're gonna love this. In most cases, you have to, like you must meet these metrics because the team has to meet those ROIs. So they sign up to do it, put the pressure on the players, you guys need to sell that. Is that always the case? Like there's always wiggle room, but like for the most part, like it's a business. When you are sponsored as a player, it's a business and you need to do those returns. So always check in with your team if you are sponsored when you get an offer from some other company because legal doo-doo is real. A lot of brands compete and you might not know they compete, and you cannot cross-contaminate. We're at fighting game tournaments, so you can't just be like, I work for Hori, Victrix, Kwamba, and like whoever else making a stick. They're gonna be like, no, pick a stick. Pick a stick, like you get one. That's who that's who you get the money from. If you take nothing else away from this, I'm going to tell you the holy trinity of sponsorship. Peripherals, chairs, energy drinks. That is the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit of esports sponsorship. Peripherals, chairs, energy drinks. The trifecta of esports. All right, so I hope you guys learned a lot about sponsorship, kind of an insight of what companies look for. I'm Jackie.
I'm Alicia.
And thank you so much for joining. Do you guys have any questions, concerns, anything? Thank you so much for coming out. Yay! Go get those brand deals. Yeah.